for my first pumpkin, I'm gonna do a circle approximately the size of possibly the bottom of a water bottle. I don't know if that gives you a good idea. It does not have to be perfect, so don't worry about perfection. Let me know when you're ready for the next step, okay? Okay, we're adding the bumps. And keep in mind, pumpkins come in all different shapes and sizes. So if you want a skinny pumpkin, go for it. If you want a fat pumpkin, no one's going to stop you. So whatever you do decide, I usually do about approximately 3 bumps minimum on the top. And then I might do 3 flat kind of upside down bumps for the bottom. Super flat though, because my pumpkin's so heavy that it kind of, flattens out these bumps, gravity and all that jazz. Erase all those extra lines. And like I said, you can do your pumpkin any way you want. So you decide how you want to do your pumpkin for pumpkin number 2. And I'm going to kind of do one of the wonky skinny pumpkins just for kicks and giggles. And then kind of a heart-shaped pumpkin for my 3rd pumpkin. So we got Daddy Pumpkin, Mama Pumpkin, Baby Pumpkin. And you get to decide the stems too. Totally your choice. You could do twisty curly stems. You could do a little stub. You know how like sometimes their stems get knocked off? Or you could do like the curly one that has, the little leaf coming off of it. Your art, your choice. And while you're drawing, my original picture, this is one that I did for another class. I don't have any faces in my pumpkin, but if you want faces, you can do faces. No one's stopping you. So if you want to add some faces in there, go ahead. I mean, we are celebrating Halloween right now, so I guess I'll put a face in mine. Maybe. And I usually use simple geometric shapes for my faces, like triangles for eyes or circles. Maybe a half circle for my mouth. Yada, yada, yada. My daddy pumpkin looks so happy and welcoming, and then my mommy pumpkin looks like it's about to murder someone. Ah! Anyway, so how you feeling? You ready for that tree? Now the great thing about trees is they all come in different shapes and sizes. I am a super anime nerd person, so I like to do kind of like the bonsai looking tree. So I use like an S, and I kind of just outline my S just a tad and widen it down at the base. Now if you want a straight tree with like stick tree arms, go for it. It's literally like a rectangle with different lines shooting out of it. Totally up to you. I love this class because it kind of gives you the opportunity to just decide to do whatever. Same rule applies to your tree limbs. They all come in different shapes and sizes, right? But since you probably picked this class because you liked the picture, I'm just going to draw what's in the picture. Just I got a lot of students that add their own flair to things, which is great. Figure out where you want your horizon line, where the sky meets the ground. You can have it way up here if you want. You can have it way down here. Totally up to you. And I did a full moon since it was Halloween around the time I made this lesson plan. However, if you want a crescent moon or a half moon, go for it. And then we will just break these little dudes right here down into simple shapes and simple lines. You decide how many bats you want. I do not recommend a gazillion bats. Just saying. But what I do is I do a circle for the head, a fat circle for the main part of the body, like the stomach and whatnot. I kind of create a V with my head circle in the middle. So let me know when you got those 1, 2, 3, those 3 shapes. And obviously a little bit of triangles for the ears, right? Can't forget the ears. They kind of need those for their echolocation. And the rest is just a really simple series of zigzags. And what I did here is I kind of varied the sizes of my bats, but it's absolutely not necessary. You could have the same size bats if you want to. Now that you know how to draw your own bat, let's add another one. Somewhere on your paper, you get to decide where. Now, if you decide to do one that's really small, just take the extra details out of it and just break it down into super simple shapes. And the last thing we gotta add is that rickety old fence. A lot of my students are like, but my fence isn't perfect. It doesn't look perfect. And I said, dude, it's Halloween. Your fence could be like halfway broken in one area and it'll look great. So don't worry about it. You got this. You get to decide if you kind of want, I don't know, you see how my kind of posts are super close together. If you want to space them out a little bit, that's okay too. I'm kind of making my fence a little wonky and wobbly because, I mean, it's Halloween. So I'm creating 2 parallel lines that are just above my horizon line. And let's do about, I don't know, maybe half an inch, 1/4, probably half an inch in space between our kind of lines. So here's my, I'm going to write right here, horizon line. So if I were to cover that up, these would be your 2 fence posts that are your planks that are going to be above the ground. Okay. And I literally put a stick up and down for my posts. Now, You can use about 2 fingers, line them up next to the post line that you've just made, and repeat. If you're really worried about the spacing being absolutely perfect. If not, then don't worry about it. And if you want them to be even tighter, you could do 1 finger instead of 2. Your art, your choice. I'm a huge advocate of using things that are around me. Like, I'm the art teacher where I'm like, let's use the bottle to make the circle. Hey, go for it. You let me know when you're done putting in your planks and your posts. I'm kind of using my pinky finger to kind of help me figure out how thick I want my posts to be. Ish. If not, you can use a ruler if you really wanted to, but it's not absolutely necessary. These are those wooden stick things coming out of the ground. And I literally top them off with a triangle. Boop. Boop. Now, in between your horizon line and the first line that you used for your planks, just give yourself some width here for your bottom plank. Doesn't have to be super fat, doesn't have to be like super skinny. Just go by what you feel most comfortable with. This is that bottom rung that's going to attach your fence together. We're going to kind of erase a few things here so that way we don't get confused when we do our next set of planks. Sometimes when you have like God knows how many lines, it's like, oh my God, what do I do? It gets overwhelming. So we're gonna take a break here, clean up a few stuff so that way when we move forward it won't be overwhelming. So we are literally where your lines intersect between your fence post and your plank. We're going to remove these little kind of, I don't know, it almost looks like an unfinished square. We're going to remove these sides here. So I'm going to pull away so you can see what I'm doing here. That way you have a solid fence here instead of a bunch of lines going through it. So here we go. Just erase the lines that are cutting into that area. So when you're done, this bottom half here, those lines that intersected where your fence post and your plank connected, those should be gone. Let me know when you got them all gone. Perfect. We're literally just going to repeat step 1 that we just did. We're going to do to the top half now, okay? And then we'll start shading.